All right, welcome and thank you for joining us today. Life After the Fire, the preeminent podcast for everything pertaining to having a life after the fire service. My name's Chris Phelps. I'm your host, and joining us today on Zoom is Shaun Fix. Shaun is a retired firefighter out of Boca Raton. Actually, Shaun, what did you retire as?
I retired as a EMS captain.
EMS
So
captain.
my last, I think 20 years, I was a EMS captain.
Wow. So my name's Chris Phelps, and I'm your host, and we've got Shaun with us today. So a little history on us. I have to go back into the late 80s, where I was fresh out of high school, working on an ambulance company, and down in Boca Raton, and would run with this guy Shaun Fix, and been loosely connected over the years, and seen some of the great things that Shaun has done, and set himself up for life after the fire department. And that's why I thought he would be a great person to chat with today. So tell us, I guess, a little bit about what how long of a career did you have in the fire service? When did it end, and what have you been doing since?
So my total career was a little over 35 years. I started out while I was in paramedic school in Gainesville, working as a firefighter and an EMT up there. And in 1984, when I finished paramedic school, I went to work for St. Lucie County, um, in obviously Fort Pierce, St. Lucie. I worked there for a little under 5 years, and then my last roughly 30 years were with the city of Boca Raton.
Cool.
So I've been retired now a little over 4 years.
Awesome. And what did you do to set yourself up for retirement?
Well, I don't know that I actually did it intentionally, but in uh, 1988, I started a company that does medical training, and my goal at that time was to be able to bring EMS, fire, hospital training to the facility. So if a fire department wanted to do trauma training, ITLS, PHTLS is what we were doing back then. I think it was actually called BTLS, but we could show up and do it there. If a hospital wanted ACLS, we could show up and do it there. So that was my plan, was to have that little niche where we could just show up at a surgery center, a doctor's office, etc. And in 1988, there was really only one other company out of Miami that was doing that.
Hmm.
So I started that in '88, and you know, doing with me, and then me and a part-time secretary, then a couple of other nurses and a couple of other firemen helping me teach, and fast forward to now, and we have moved out of my garage at my house, and we have a 6,000 square foot building of office space. We have 10 full-time office staff and about 120 instructors, and we train a little over 20,000 people last year.
Wow. Those are some impressive numbers. Now, are you doing this all in the state of Florida, or have you branched out and are
Yeah,
going?
we basically go all over the country. So we started in Florida, but for the past probably 9 years, one of our larger hospital clients has been sending us around the country to do their new nurse training. So we travel the country with that. I do some national training when I'm speaking at EMS Today, EMS Expo, Clinton Pond National Conferences. We do that. We also do training with some other industries that send us outside of Florida as well.
That's really awesome. So, what kind of got you? I mean, like you said, it wasn't by design that, hey, I'm going to set myself up for retirement, but what made you get into teaching and education?
Well, when I first came to work at the fire department in St. Lucie County. There were a couple of guys that were teaching CPR at the high school level, and they had a program that was run through the college where the college was sending CPR instructors into the high schools. So I started out doing that and liked it, and got good evaluations of, hey, you really do a good job, you really relate to these people, and then started teaching EMT and paramedic at that Indian River College at the time, Indian River
Mhm.
Community College, now Indian River State College. So I started teaching there, which then branched me off into teaching in some of their other medical programs. Specifically, I think the turning point for me was I was developing a course for dentists for the college for their dental department, and it was right about the time that HIV and AIDS were becoming popular and mandatory education. So we had developed a course specifically for dentists on HIV/AIDS, and I was teaching that. And to be real frank, I looked at what the amount of hours I put into developing and putting that course together and what they were paying me, and realized that while it seemed like, hey, you're getting paid pretty good to do this course, I had, 25 or 30 hours that I was getting paid nothing for in developing it. And I said, I should be able to do this on my own. And truly, that was kind of a turning point. And I said, let me see if we can do this on our own. And we started out simple with CPR, and then some mandatory continuing education, and then branched out into all of the other certification courses that people need. In the early 90s, the American Heart Association then went to the model where they were going to create training centers and they were going to stop doing training themselves. So we became one of the first training centers in the country to be authorized to provide American Heart Association courses. So, for most of the people out there, they don't know those days. They
Yeah.
know that, oh, there's training centers you go to do a course. It could be a college, it could be a private company.
Yeah.
But back in early 1990, there was only the American Heart Association or the colleges who did those courses.
Right. But
Kind of a long story of
yeah,
how.
yeah. Well, no, but it's good stuff because what I hear is I hear that you found something that you had a passion for, something that you liked doing, something that you obviously were good at, and then you learned how to monetize it. So a lot of firefighters do teaching on the side. Heck, I did early on in my career, and actually after my career, I taught some online stuff through Kaplan University, which became, I guess, Purdue University, and teaching aspiring fire chiefs. Um, so I've had that as an interest, and so what I've talked about before is with guys that are on the job now, and if you're looking to develop or get into a side job, is to find your triad of awesomeness. So it's something that you're good at, something you like doing, and something that you can make money doing it.
Yeah, no, I obviously that's good advice. It did work out for me. Some of it may have been dumb luck, right place, right time. Some of it was, the fact that I truly work to put out a really good product, and I make sure that the folks that are working with me are trained in that same attitude of, hey, we got to put out a good product, and we have a saying within our company that is, do the right thing.
That's good.
Don't go in and do an 8-hour certification course and do it in an hour and a half, and act like you did the people a favor by getting them out of there early.
Yeah,
Because truly, you did them a disservice, and
that
there's plenty
that
of people that are doing.
that stuff's definitely out there. And what's, I guess, really commendable is aside from the teaching stuff is taking a course, taking a curriculum, and delivering that. That's one thing, but the actually developing the course curriculum and building out a class like you did with the the mandatory stuff, the HIV and whatnot. I mean, that's really takes talent, and I commend you on that. That's awesome stuff. So when did you kind of realize that, hey, this could take care of me and take care of the family and beyond the fire department?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when, but I want to say, yeah, maybe 8 or 10 years into it, we did a contract with one of the large Florida-based hospitals, and within doing a couple classes for them in Miami, all of a sudden now we have 9 hospitals that are using us, and I think I realized then that, man, I need more help, and this is going to turn into a bigger legit business, which is when I think we moved out of my garage and into an office building. Um, and it's interesting because we have been fortunate enough that we've continued to grow just about every single year. We've increased from the year before, and not really doing anything significantly different. Meaning, we weren't out doing a bunch of marketing or advertising. Not that we don't do it, but we weren't doing anything different. And a lot of it was we follow what I said. We did the right thing, and places that were interested in doing the right thing stuck with us and said, we're going to have them do some new stuff and some developmental stuff with us, because our goal is do it right, not get in and get out.
That's awesome. Did you ever find that there was a conflict at all between your life or your on the job time and your helping to promote or run your education business?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was some some crossover there where being at the station for 24 hours, I had to stop and do some things on the phone or do some things on email uh, that were crossing over into there, and I'm sure there's probably times where I was being paid to work at the fire department where I was sending out emails for work or something. I can say that now that I'm retired.
Yeah,
Everybody that has a lawn business or a pool business or a
they've definitely been there.
overhead
Yeah,
business in the fire station
yeah,
ends up in the same doing similar.
yeah,
Uh, Whether you have somebody running it or not, I think there's that potential of somebody calls you and goes, "Hey, our building just burned down. What do you want to do?" And it's not in your zone. So,
yeah. Well, but
yeah, so I mean, that definitely was there, and I think that. Uh, Whoever's doing this obviously needs to create a balance between their fire department life or their EMS life, their outside entity life, and their family life. I will be the first to admit I did not do a good job at that because I've been working, well over 60 hours a week for the
yeah,
last 30 years. So
yeah.
I did a poor job at that. So I would say take my advice and don't do it.
Hey, brother, you're the same. I was in the same boat. I got roped into the mortgage business in 2005, and the vast majority of my clients at the time were my brother and sister firefighters that I was working with, and yeah, stuff came up while I was on duty, and you take care of it when you can. But I guess what what it taught me and what I hear you saying is that at some point you realized I got to get some help, and having some help to take care of things while whether it be you're on the job or you're on a vacation or it's family time, whatever it may be. At some point, the compound effect to help grow your business, maintain your business, and then grow your business. You got to bring on some help.
Sure, that's the key, which obviously, brings on another set of headache potentials. The right help, is that person gonna do things the way that you would do them? Is the person who's an employee gonna follow the same rules that you want them to follow? So that
Yeah, are they
that,
going to
that
mind the
that's
shop like you would?
yeah,
Yeah. So I've always been told, it's very hard to find somebody that's going to do it, 100%. like you would or as good as you would. But 75, maybe 75 to 80%, that's probably good enough, right?
Well, you yeah, it's a battle that you have to internalize. I think
Yeah.
I've learned because you're right. There, when it's yours, you have a little bit more vested interest in it than some employees. And again, there's some people that are working for you that are going to act and treat it as if it was theirs.
Their own.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's I say we have in the fire station we had 8 different people with 30 different personalities. Say I think same thing on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So where is the where do you foresee the your business going? Do you foresee, trying to grow it more, or just organically where, wherever it goes, it goes?
Yeah, I think 2 things. Number 1, I think organically wherever it goes, we're just kinda here ticking along. We have plenty of work, we're plenty busy. However, what I do see for me is I think that some of the new clinical programs that are coming out that are being offered online, are gonna, take a toll on my personal business. For example, the selling point from the American Heart Association or the Red Cross, who both do ACLS, BLS, and PALS, to the hospitals is, hey, we can cut down on time and cut down on classroom uh, time that you're pulling your people out of work for or paying them overtime to do. And we can do the whole ACLS course online and they can do skills without an instructor and just come to a computerized mannequin and do compressions, and that will be enough to satisfy. And we will give them an ACLS score.
So more of
Um,
an on-demand model kind of thing.
exactly, on demand with
Yeah.
no instructors, no true skills other than watching them on the video. So I think for me as a old guy who still tries to do it live and do the skills and run a scenario where one person is pushing on the chest while the other one's ventilating, while the other one's doing advanced airway, while the other one's working on a defibrillator, while the other one's pushing the drugs, what would happen in real life is now going the way of the what I'll say the young person. I'm saying that jokingly. The
Yeah.
person who wants to work on their phone and do the whole thing on their phone
Yeah.
and can do that. Us old people
We call them the next
can't make
generation,
that happen.
lovingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, I think that was a good question. Is I truly I see that we're gonna have some diminished, especially in our large corporate hospitals. I see moving to that model just because of logistics and ease of use for them.
Mhm. So somebody, but being aware of the future challenges, you're forewarned basically that it's coming down that way. You can choose to adapt to it, um, or what? I guess that's really your only option, right? Adapt or
Yeah,
die, right?
for me, my goal is, number one, I have to accept it. When if
Yeah.
a facility comes to me and says, "Hey, sorry, this year we're going to go to the online model and we're just doing it with our computerized mannequins, so we don't need you guys." Obviously, I don't have a choice. But I think, yeah, it's either we adapt that way, we scale back on things, or we boost up on other things. So maybe our trauma programs go up more, or our airway programs go up more, or I'll be honest with you, one thing that we're doing a little bit more marketing on this year is our basic general public CPR and first aid, which obviously, it has some great value. And I think
Yeah.
anybody who watches Monday Night Football knows that
Yeah.
there's some great value to General Joe Blow, who knows how to push on somebody's chest and find a defibrillator. Uh,
Right.
Truly is a good value. We do because of that. We do free CPR classes every summer for parents. The beginning of the summer, we do free CPR for parents for just that reason. So we'll probably market that a little bit more now, since as we start to see a decrease in some of our advanced stuff.
So I'm not a big football but or big football fan by any means. But obviously, you'd have to be living under a rock to not have seen what recently transpired. So, um, so I would like take us through what you know of the incident and where it is at today.
Yeah, well, it's funny because on our Facebook page, we just did a post today of that player and said with the title, he was sent home today out of the hospital, discharged from the hospital today, walking and talking. And we just did a quick post and just said, you know, this 24-year-old gentleman is home walking and talking after being dead, and all he got was somebody to push on his chest and somebody to get a $1,000 AED to him in a few
Yeah,
minutes, and that's what saved his life. That could have been a Boy Scout. It could have been a high school student who was doing the CPR. There was no advanced medical care, any secret bullet that was used there. So I think that was a really great segue to, hey, basic CPR works really good to buy some time, and if you can get a defibrillator, that saves lives if you can do it in a few minutes.
yeah, and obviously, you had a very long career. I had a very long career, and those kind of stories of success, they're few and far between. They're kind of drowned out by the majority of the negative stories of the poor outcomes that we see. So yeah, this was great. I think that the story has uh, the some of the fallout from it. I don't know that you want to call it fallout, but some of the additional things that it's brought to light is on the mental health side of things. They talk about how, well, listen, they shut down that entire game, and and didn't even reschedule it, anything like that. Like shut the lights and told everybody, go home. And that's a little different for us in emergency services.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. Is obviously, most of those people are not used to seeing somebody fall over dead in front of them. We're talking about everybody in the stands as well as the players. You look at the distraught look on their faces. You said, the stress. Uh, Certainly, that was there, and um, I've seen a couple of listservs or posts that put up something about, hey, did you see that event? And you see how everybody was so shook up and kneeling and crying. And then they said that's what us as nurses and first responders do every day.
Yeah.
You know, you could theoretically work and do that 2 or 3 times a
Yeah,
day,
exactly. Multiple times a day. You could have
and then
that
have to go back and do another one.
same situation, and all right, hey, you're back in service. So yeah, so that brings up another area, um, or pitfall, I guess you could say, of the job is the stress, is the mental health aspect of what firefighters go through on a daily basis, and how over time it takes a toll. And we were in the on the job back in the day where it wasn't really talked about, and it wasn't, if you needed help, well, you're assisted. And that's, fortunately, that's not really the case anymore. I mean, now there's resources and whatnot. And I always talk about the analogy of you have a trash can. Every call you go on, you crumple up a little piece of paper, a little bit of effect from that call, and you throw it in the trash can. And eventually, over time, your trash can gets full, and your trash can needs to be emptied periodically. And sometimes, it could be one big call that fills up your trash can, or it could just be the littlest nothing of a call that is just the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's great to hear that, or great to see that those resources are now available to our next generation of firefighters.
Yeah, I think over the last 8 or 10 years, there's been a definite change in that. Like you said, what you and I grew up with was uh, suck it up. Like this is what we do. This is what you signed up for. And then of course, as we start recognizing more and more fire and EMS personnel with stress, PTSD, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, and it may not all be related to the job, but certainly there's a portion of it. And like you said, it's just that one incident. It might be that one incident for you that reminds you of something, or it might be a series of incidents. I think when we look at the science in it, some of the bigger incidences that bother people, those we catch. If you get a house fire and several children are killed in the house fire, we
Yeah.
recognize that as, hey,
Yeah.
that may be a problem. We should start looking at, do we have some stress debriefing or some type of peer counseling that we can do with those. The ones that happen are that one that we don't know about, where the guy's just tired of running calls, or the girl's just tired of running calls all the time, and it's not a big incident. Like you said, it's just that one call that was put them over the edge, and now
Yeah.
they are, you know, out of work, or using drugs or alcohol, or attempting to take their own life. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's a whole nother
It's a whole
subject and
nother
pod.
subject, whole nother podcast right there. Yeah, that's some good stuff. So we definitely want to explore that down the road and bring in some good people to talk about that. Just as a resource.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's another good subject, and I think it fits right into your life after fire, with the key word on that word, life.
yeah,
Uh, how is your life going to be after fire? Are you mentally going to be okay? Do you need to deal with other people? There's groups of firemen that get together who may have the same feeling or issues, and there's the resources now, which again, for another conversation. But I mean, there's resources that reach every type of communicator there is, from text to email to phone to Zoom type to live meeting. So, people say, yeah, I don't want to sit in a group with a counselor. Okay,
no
do it
problem.
by Zoom. I don't want them to see my face. Turn the camera off.
Yeah,
I don't want them to know who I am. Do it by text. So they really have addressed all
yeah.
of those.
All the
Uh,
objections.
yeah, yeah. If all of those people, to give people, much less of a chance to say, yeah, this isn't for me.
Right.
So if you don't want to have the ability to do it one way, you can do it a different way.
Yeah. That's all great stuff. Well, I know we've kind of gotten off on a little bit of a tangent here, but so jumping back into what you've done to position yourself. Um, let's say new firefighter on the job, and they have a similar passion as you do. What would be what would you tell them or advise them to do to realize their passion?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if the passion is for education and medical education, the I think the answer is attend some education yourself. Don't just say, well, if they give me education here or pay me overtime, I'll show up. Go out
Right.
and spend a little bit of time and effort and attend some conferences or some webinars, or some classes that are local. Um, and watch other people. Look at the people that you say, wow, that was a good presenter. That was good education. That was good information. Look at that and try to emulate those positive things from that person as you begin teaching whatever it is you're going to teach, whether you're doing fire skills or whether you're doing, EMS or CPR, or taking one of the instructor courses for the cardiac courses or the trauma courses. Um, and the other thing I would say is get in with people who are doing the right thing. The people that are coming in and saying this is supposed to be an 8-hour class, but we're going to have you out of here in 2 hours so you all can go to the beach. And then my hourly rate goes up because I'm getting paid for 8 hours, but only working two. I would say avoid those people, and there's plenty of them out there, unfortunately.
I think that's an important part of it. Yeah, I think if you're interested in teaching, yes, you can easily look online to find instructor courses or train the trainer type courses, but surrounding yourself with a good organization, it's got an established reputation, good foundation, that's probably even more important than just going out and getting your card, I think.
Absolutely, I agree.
So are you hiring?
We are actually.
Good. So anybody listening to this that wants to go out and learn more about teaching, and maybe you already got your instructor stuff and you're looking to align with a good company, man. I couldn't think of something anyone any better than Shaun and what he's done.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we are looking. We're always looking for good people.
Good stuff. So I always like to end these sessions with a good call to action. So in the case of what we've talked about thus far, what would be a good call to action if somebody wants to further their education or explore what being an instructor would look like? What should they do?
Yeah, so obviously, if they're interested in hearing what we have available, they can reach out to us. They can look at our website and see programs we have available. They can certainly call here and speak to one of our staff. And our website is www.medicaltraining.cc. We do some classes by Zoom. So we do, exam prep courses for paramedics by Zoom. We do some of our classes live. We do some of them blended. And certainly, if if somebody's already teaching somewhere and they want to sit in and see how we're teaching or how we're doing a program, we have people who have done that. Hey, I'm a new instructor. I kind of did all three ACLS, BLS, and PALS classes at the same time, which is not approved by the American Heart Association, but people do it. But I've never taught any of this, but I have my cards, which again is not approved by the American Heart Association, but they do it. I get people who show up all the time here wanting to teach, have cards, but have never done it and didn't follow the right process. We don't charge them anything. We let them sit in and learn with us and hopefully develop a strong instructor, whether it's for us or for them. I have a lot of instructors who have gone on and directed paramedic programs at the local colleges who started out with us, and then passed me, and they're running programs at the colleges now.
That's good. That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Good. And a call to action about our podcast. If you found value in what we're putting out here today, share it with your fellow firefighters, and we'd love some feedback. If we're taking this thing in the right direction, we want to hear about it. If we're not taking it in the right direction, we want to hear about it. So wherever you're hearing us or watching us, post a review. And you can also reach out to us at info@latfpodcast.com. If you know somebody that would be a great fit for us to have on the show, you want to hear about how they're doing, what they're doing, or where they're going with it, reach out and let us know. Thanks, Shaun. I really appreciate having you out here, and I hope that we can maybe do this again and explore our other some other topics.
Yeah, perfect. Happy to help. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
All right. Have a good day.